Welcome, everybody. Full disclosure, I'm sick, and so I might shut the camera on and off today. My head feels like a giant balloon. My throat is killing me. I have a vicious headache, and I'm pretty sure that I have strep throat. So my throat is just like killing me. Of course, that one does. This one has like a little bit of like coolness to it. So, but welcome everybody to Twisted Tragedies, where we follow all the twists and turns wherever they lead. I'm your host, Elise, who has a sore throat. So bear with me today, everybody. So there's quite a few things I wanted to go over today. Hi, Ashley. Welcome to all my newbies and my replay crew newbies. We got a donation last night that was anonymous. The person wanted to remain anonymous, but I did want to thank them for it. We actually used it for dinner last night. My daughter had a surgery yesterday. Everything went good. Yeah, we used it for dinner last night, and I got soup, and then I got ice cream for my throat. But she had her surgery yesterday, and it was she's been inpatient for months now, not just for her arms, but her whole disease. They're looking into bone marrow, and we all got tested and just a million other things. She also was diagnosed with scleroderma. If anybody knows anything about that, it gets yeah, you can't make sense. That's not supposed to happen. For the it hardens your my God, my brain today. It's because I'm sick. Your organs from the inside, and it tightens the skin. And so she had a compressed like vein in her hand, in her arm, that was causing extreme pain, to the point where they had her on morphine, which is not. She has a very high pain tolerance. She's never asked for a pain medication a day in her life, and she's 20. So if she's asking, that means, it's bad. And she's about the size, because her disease causes short stature, GI, and weight gain issues. So she's about the size of a 10-year-old, size-wise. But they did the surgery, and it went well. They had to call in a surgeon from out of that hospital to this hospital because she's so complicated with all her, complicated. She's going to have another one, on the other hand, in a week. And then she's got a bunch of other procedures, but the first one went well. So now we just need the next ones to go well, and for them to figure out something to help her with the scleroderma and her disease. And she's got arthritis in all of the joints, every joint in your body. So for instance, this hand looks like a 9-year-old woman. It's curled in to almost the palm, and she cannot straighten them because her joints have fused with the bone. So this is it. This is what it looks like. And so she has to have surgery. They can take the joints out, but then her fingers would just be like this. She'd never be able to, and then it's not a guarantee that she wouldn't have to have it done again. So there are risks, there are complications. She has a very narrow airway, so that's a complication and a problem. So, we're taking it step by step, one thing at a time. So the first one went well. I'm so happy about that. And she feels much better now. The hand is not in that kind of chronic, it's sore now because there was surgery, obviously, but not that kind of excruciating pain that she was in before for a long time, and nobody wanted to. The problem is because her disease is so rare, less than 200 people worldwide, last I checked, doctors who don't know anything about it don't want to touch her with a 10-foot pole. Like, they just don't, and I get it. I do. But at the same time, we are so thankful for the doctors that just do their research and talked to the one doctor that does study this disease, and, you know, took the leap. Like, you know, this doctor took the leap of doing the surgery, was in the room about 30 seconds and said, yeah, that needs surgery, like now. And so we didn't know until just a day or two before that that the surgery was going to happen. But I am so thankful for all the messages and text messages and DMs I got of people just asking how she was and catching up. I appreciate that. She appreciates that. It means more than you guys know. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody that checked in. The first one went well, and well, fingers crossed for the next one next week. So I appreciate you all. All right. So now that you know, thank you, Michael. This StreamYard needs to stop doing this, okay? Every stream now, see how it's covering my face? Every stream now I have to change it. Okay? They just automatically decided that this was a good idea. Like this would be a fantastic idea to make them so large that they take up like the entire screen. So now you have to go into like a different setting and change it, and it's kind of annoying. Like StreamYard, just leave it where I wanted it, man. Like this is classic now. Then we have minimal, block. I prefer the bubble. I like the bubble one. The bubble one I like. So we're gonna do the bubble. All right. Let me move that. And I also think at some point did they move my icon from the top? I think I moved it while we were watching a hearing one day. My little icon at the top. Let me just fix it. My logo. Boop, up there it is. Okay, yep, I did. I moved it one day when we were watching something, a hearing. I like the bubble. I like the bubble. I appreciate the bubble. All right. I think we should go back and watch two things. One thing I want to watch is Roberta was on Julie Grant's show. Julie Grant is a friend to this show. We love Julie. She's amazing, and she always sticks up for the victims, and she's not afraid to say it how it is, even if it's not popular with Free Karen Reed, unlike Vinnie Politan, who just jumps on that sort of Free Karen Reed conspiracy bandwagon. Julie Grant doesn't do that, and she is an amazing person just in general as a human. She's a good, kind, loving person. I wish everybody got to know her. But her show is on at 8 a.m. On Court TV every morning, Monday through Friday. And yeah, the songs are funny. Roberta did an amazing job on there, and I wrote Julie a message just telling her, like, I said, that's so amazing that you had Roberta on. I just absolutely love that. And you know, I thanked her as always for always being a voice for the people who have been victimized by this. Sorry, there'll be a lot of like drinking of cold things today. My throat is killing me, and I have no more soup in the house. So I absolutely. So I think we should watch that because it's only 11 minutes. It's 11 minute, and then I think we need to go back to. Actually, Julie shows it in her clip. The very giant glare that Karen gives to Brennan, and it's like you are completely unaware of the way that you look, like completely unaware of how you look on TV. Karen knows that these TV cameras are watching her, right? Like she knows. No, Julie Grant is not related to Grant. She's sorry. She is not. My throat is like so just dry. Like she doesn't care. Good morning, Jen. It's like she could be fed up with, in my opinion, as you know, fed up with what? Having to lie. I'd be fed up with having to lie too. But like, you're a defendant, okay, in a murder trial. You know those cameras are watching you. You have to be self-aware of the way you look. And especially, like, it's not a good look, dude. It's not a good look to be turning around and glaring at the special prosecutor because you don't like what he said. If he turned around and glared at you every time you said something he didn't like or your defense lied to the court, then, you know, like everybody would be screaming from the rooftops. Like, I don't think, no, she absolutely does not care the way she comes off. It's kind of a problem, though, because especially after the first trial, knowing that the jurors had a problem with her body language and her facial expressions, you would think at that point that she would then be like, okay, let me get a little more, like, let me be more self-aware about that and just be stoic, right? Like, just not give that kind. She didn't. She chose not to. And again, I think it's a giant mistake because you're you look ridiculous and you look like what everybody's accusing you of. So even if you weren't a um psychopath, by giving those facial expressions on national TV, you're telling the world that you look like what you're being accused of, you know? Well, yeah, a lot of the times, Amber, that's exactly what your attorney will tell you to do. Practice in the mirror. Practice in the mirror on what you would look like when we say certain things. And they'll read things out to you that the prosecution might say, and then you watch your own facial expression, and then like they'll tell you to try do these things, especially in a high profile media trial. Like, you have to be more self-aware. You just have to be. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you have to be, because it does make a difference. It does. Like, the judge is watching, the jury's watching, like the entire world is watching. Like, it's, you gotta be more self-aware. Like, you just have to. This up here. All right. Back it up. Hold on. I'm gonna get it on the screen for you guys in 1 second. I think it's important to watch. Karen Reed's sister. That's a good question, Eva. Yeah, mocking Peggy, that was pretty disgusting. And I don't care what side of this case you're on, you have to agree that that's just gross, just disgusting, just gross. Um, and yeah, Julie did say that she made a fool out of herself, and she did make a fool out of herself. And she can hate Brennan all she wants, like, she's not going to be able to control it. So that's the thing. She's a control freak, partly cluster B personality, narcissism. And I've worked with these people when I worked in the prison for a long time, and I worked in a prison for the criminally insane, as most of you know, and I saw this a lot. A lot of these people are completely unaware that they think they come off as cool, calm, and collected. They think they come off differently than what they actually come off as. Even when they're told, in their brain, they're being told like that, and they're like, "I don't know what you're talking about. You sound ridiculous." Like, that's where it all goes wrong. A real attorney would have told her to shut the F up and not do any interviews, just saying. Like, if it was my client, you're not doing any interviews because it can never help you. Opening your mouth is never going to help you. Unless you're going to get on the stand and say everything that you said in any of those interviews, there's no point in doing them until after the trial. You want to do them when the trial's over? Cool, great. Like, but I think the information about Karen's sister is Karen's sister wants nothing to do with the circus. That's very clear. And if I was her, I wouldn't either, right? Like, I wouldn't either. I don't know if there's a breakdown in family communication, if the sister just doesn't even speak to any of the family anymore, or if she just doesn't want to be seen in the public eye. But by not being seen in the public eye, like the brother, it sort of speaks to clearly they're not all on one wavelength where Karen's sister wants to be a part of this. It looks like she wants nothing to do with this, and we can't blame her. I actually feel for her. I feel for Karen's sister, because if it was my brother or my sister, I don't know how I would feel, right? Like, I know that it's my brother or sister and I love them, but if my brother or sister did something like that and I myself could see the evidence proving that my sister or brother did it, I'm not there. Yeah, no, there's no chance in hell I would be seen in public with you, because then that is me saying that I think you're innocent and I am supporting you on that. I can support you. I'll answer your phone calls from jail. I'll write you a letter and tell you that I love you as a family member, but I don't support you lying and throwing it on other people. You're entitled to a defense. Cool, that's great. But your defense is not entitled to lie to the court. Your defense is not entitled to cause a media circus that harms people. And if they didn't care, like if they didn't agree with the harassment at any point, Karen herself, her defense team, any one of them, any one of their spokespeople could have said, hey, just a message from Karen and the team. They do not condone the harassment. They want eyes on this case, but they don't condone the harassment. You'll never hear that from them because it's part of their spiel. It's part of their whole thing. So make no mistake that when Jackson gets up there and says, nobody controls what Karen Reed says, nobody's saying control what Karen Reed says, but she certainly was controlling other people and what they were saying on her behalf. I mean, you can lie about it until you're purple in the face, but I don't think anybody was, quote, speaking for Karen, but they were speaking for Karen. So it's like she fed them what she wanted to feed them, right? Karen's the only one who could speak for herself. But when you send certain information over to other people and expect them to tell the world, then yeah, in a way, you're asking people to speak for you, right? Like not for you on behalf of whether you're going to go to dinner tonight or not, but you're asking these people to speak on these issues that you're sending to them. So yeah, in a way, you are asking people to speak for you. Like, so it's like, you know, this is where Jackson plays the mint his words game, where it's like, well, nobody speaks for her, but in a way, people are speaking for her. And I mean, she condones it by going on to these shows and writing comments and emailing and texting. And so it's like, not once did you hear her ever say, I don't condone the harassment. Please do not harass these people. No, because that would blow up her theory of, oh, these people are so bad. Because if they would say, well, if they're so bad, why are you telling us not to harass them if they're terrible, awful people, right? Like that's, you know. All right, let me get this up real quick on the screen. Oh yeah, you're definitely going to see the smirks in the next trial. There's no doubt about it. She can't control herself. You are totally right, Michael. She knew it was going to be used against her, and they still didn't care. They continued on because she thought she was so awesome, you know, because Elle asked her to do a thing, right? So she was so awesome, and so that's what she feels about herself, you know. I did. I worked in the criminal justice system. I did, yeah. You didn't? I know, right? It was also a men's prison. It was just for men. So it was not for women, just men. It was not a dual prison. There was one, I had one guy that was there that used to call me Southie because of my accent. And I had to tell him like a million times, like, I'm not from Southie. He didn't seem to care. That's just what he would scream from his cell door. Southie! I was like, dude, I cannot come down there and talk to you. I have to do checks every 15 minutes. You know, you go around each cell, make sure everybody's alive and breathing, and every 15 minutes there, not like a regular prison where it's, you know, counts. We had counts too, but like that we would do. But these were every 15 minutes I ran the intake unit, and it was because a lot of these people would say that they would self-harm. So every 15 minutes they had checks. Could be it too. She could be supportive of her, wants privacy, but if you were supportive of her and wanted privacy, your family's very much in the public eye. I just don't see that being feasible. I think more than anything, she just doesn't want to be dealing with the media asking questions, and I don't blame her. I wouldn't want it either, you know? Well, that's another thing. It's a complete lack of confidence. Hi, Leah. In your own story, if you're okay with other people just being hurt, you know? Like, come on. She leaked. She did more than leak, though. You can say she leaked, but she did more than leaking, right? She didn't just leak things. She gave things like grand jury minutes. That's not legal. You can't give grand jury minutes to somebody who's not supposed to have them. So it's not just a leak. She gave more than just public information to the sewer turtle. It's that simple. Like, so, I mean, no, she didn't just leak things. Like, and she did it in a way that was meant to have the mob harass people. It's the reality of the situation. It's, you know, and the government doesn't do that all the time. You might see it in more in like high profile federal cases, but not really that much in smaller community state cases. You might have like one cop that might leak something here or there. This isn't the 80s where like reporters were just like mingling with the cops anymore. Like the prosecution can't do what the defense can do. So like Hank has declined, I don't even know how many interviews. He has spoken with 0 people when it comes to media. 0. Like, he won't answer any media questions. Believe me, I've tried. Like, I have tried. He will not. I think even Ted Daniels or Christina Rex or both of them said that no, they haven't heard a peep from Hank Brennan at all. Like, I know that's kind of weird too. You know, on Wikipedia though, you can actually correct it. You can actually correct a Wikipedia page, and then they'll go and correct it. Like, there's like a spot you can click on to try to correct a article that isn't right or add more information. I know. She hasn't been wiped from history because most of us know she exists, but I think you're right, because even in the beginning, people were like, she doesn't, I was like, her sister, and people were like, she doesn't have a sister, and I'm like, yeah, she does have a sister. Like, she does. She does. Well, I mean, in my opinion, this is a giant innocence fraud campaign. This is what it is. Like, we're seeing it again in another case. Like, at best, Karen would have already been out, right? She'd have already been out of jail if she just took the responsibility for what she did. Instead, we have this grand innocence fraud campaign that has extended far beyond the witnesses and John's family in this case, has extended to people like me and you who decided we were going to speak up when we saw something that was wrong, red flags and all. And most of you know, like, anybody who wants to try to say Karen wasn't trying to control anything that was being said on social media or on channels, I would say you're dead wrong. I experienced it my actual self, where there were things she wanted or didn't want me to talk about. And there was specifically one time where I got sent messages because they didn't want me talking about Proctor and Buchanan's DNA. And if you care about Karen, she doesn't want you to talk about this. Well, I don't really give a shit what she wants me to talk about and what she doesn't. It's my goddamn show, and I will talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. Excuse my French, but that's basically what I said. Okay, insta block. That's a red flag. What? Nobody's going to tell me what I can talk about when I can't talk about on my show. And if that's not a red flag to someone, I don't know what the fuck is. Why would a murder defendant need to control what a very small YouTube channel has to say? I mean, just think about that for a sec. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. That's strange and tells me how much of a control freak she is. If, God forbid, anybody talk about something she didn't want them to talk about, that happened to my channel. I can speak to that personally. That's not normal. Like, that's not normal. It's just not. Like, but then have her team do it, right, Amber? Have her team say, this is unacceptable. We do not condone. Alan Jackson, at any point in any of those court hearings when he was talking about it, could have been like, and we do not condone harassment of anyone. He chooses not to on purpose. He's omitting it on purpose. It's blatantly being omitted on purpose. You know, it's not like you can just say, well, no, there's no well. He's blatantly not saying it. They're blatantly not saying it on purpose, you know? Hi, Chris. You know, it's okay to be muse, you know, sharing content that's important for people to know about, or information that's it's important for people to know about, I think is great. I need more people sharing the stuff that I put out or my videos, because I think there's a lot of people questioning what the F is actually going on after watching that ID discovery. I actually saw someone today that said that they had changed their opinion. And I sent them a message asking, I don't get a response yet, but asking what it was that made them change their opinion, because I'm fascinated to know, like, what specific thing was it that made them realize, like, hold on, wait a second, this isn't what I thought it was, right? Like, because for everyone, it might be something different, or there might be like a one piece of evidence or one specific thing that happened that made them go, wait a second. But that same person also said something like, uh, YouTubers make a ton of money or something like that. And I had to correct that. I was like, yeah, no, the YouTubers that are screaming free Karen Reed might make a ton of money. Most of us over here, lucky to make like 20, maybe $40 a stream. Like, and that's like covering costs. So like, that don't speak for all YouTubers when you say YouTubers make a ton of money. Yeah, maybe ones with like, 5 million or 10 million followers and millions of views. I'm not getting paid for views. I'm not monetized at the moment. I'm not getting anything. And even when you do get paid for views, it's like 3 cents per every 5,000 views or something. It's barely anything. Like, well, I do think that, but that's part of narcissism, right? She thinks she's untouchable, can say whatever she wants because her followers think that she's, Jesus Christ incarnate. Like, you know, yes, that was the first report, but do you know how many reports of things that it could have been gotten wrong? So obviously, and that media channel did put out something saying that they were wrong. So this was in the very, very beginning of this case that they heard from a source. Obviously, that source was wrong. Listen, sources can be wrong, right? Like, I gauge my sources on this. How much information have I gotten from my source, right? And how much of it has been true and I can confirm, and how much of it is not true that I can't confirm over the time that I've used that source. Most of my sources I have barely ever been wrong, and if they are, it's on a small detail that I can end up figuring out what it was. But I learned over time, like, even if two people are saying the same thing, you really need to vet that information because that could just be two people who like want that to be true, right? So you really need to vet like where it's coming from, if it's valid information, and how you could possibly get that information from someone else and confirm, someone who would have an idea about if it was true or not just anyone, right? Like, so I was pro Karen at one point at the very, very beginning of all of this because the only information we were getting, as you know, was coming from the very biased and very sick individual of the name of Sewer Turtles. So most of us were told things like the taillight was found on top of the snow, and that's how it was planted. As we know that that's not true at all. We were told things like they lost $50,000 when it came to the house. They did not lose $50,000. They lowered the amount to sell, which is my grandmother did too, and she had a $500,000 house, when she sold it in 2000 and whatever. Like, so a lot of people do that to sell it, right? Like, they were already going to sell that house before they had already talked about it, and like, they have communications that exist before John ever died about selling that house. And they didn't lose money on that house. They made like 250 grand when they sold the house, even by lowering the price. So there were things that were fed to people that just were not true at all. And then we find out that all of the information that he's getting is coming straight from her. Well, that is questionable. Very questionable. We found out there were dozens of things he would, and mind you, when he says these things and he talked about these things and talked about like missing library footage that never was missing shoe belt never was missing, the things that they talked about, like that we found out were not true, that were being fed directly from Karen to him. It's concerning when you find out that A, you're being lied to, and B, some of these things that you were told that were true are not true at all, not even a little bit. And then you have to go back and go, wait a second. And there were a couple red flags for me. One being the time that my channel was controlled, which is right when that was my very first red flag. So it was right from the time where I thought she was innocent going into about maybe a week before I got a shit ton of evidence plopped into my lap to look at. And that was my first like bell where I was like, wait a second, hold on. This just doesn't, there's something not right here. Like, I need to go back and start over, right? Myself. I need to start them. And I had read all the court documents at that point, but the prosecution wasn't really saying much in their documents, right? Like, they weren't like dispelling any of the rumors. They were just laying out like very short things of what they wanted in court. And we didn't have much at that point. That was still the beginning of all of this. And then little pieces that I got from sources, putting them together, I was like, oh, shit, I was wrong. I was wrong. Like, I was wrong. There's no way with this piece of evidence, and this piece of evidence that she could be innocent. And if she's saying this, this, and this, but those things cannot be true because of this, this, and this, solid pieces of evidence, right? Then we're dealing with something that's blown out of proportion that has now become innocence fraud at that point. And it's hard to look at it and go, shit, what do I do? There were a lot of people that realized Karen was guilty and they just disappeared. They didn't come back to YouTube. They just gone and never to return, not to say a thing. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them because they had to make a choice that was best for themselves, whether it would be harassment, like, you know, or whatever. Like, they had to make the choice that was best for them. I made the choice I thought was best for me, but I also know that I would not be able to live with myself if I didn't correct the misinformation that I put out there. So I knew coming back and saying, "Hey, wait, now I know she couldn't be innocent," was going to cause a shitstorm. I knew that the income that I had been making, which was helping me stay afloat, was not going to exist anymore. I knew all of these things going into it, and I said, "It is what it is." I knew I was going to lose thousands of subscribers. I knew I was going to lose the money that was keeping me afloat week by week. Um, but it's like I'm not willing to sit there and say things just to say them. It's not why I started this channel, right? Like, it's not. Like, I didn't start this channel to just say things that were untrue to get dollar signs. It's not why I started. It's not why I became a volunteer advocate 18 years ago. It's not why I've done any of the things that I've done since I became sober 18 years ago. This is not like, it doesn't go with who I am. And I knew like I was going to get a shit storm by doing it. But for me, it was more about that's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is get back up there, swallow your goddamn pride, say you were wrong, tell people why you were wrong, and explain to them the pieces of evidence that you can give them that show why you and them were wrong. And that's what I did, knowing it was going to be hard. It was not easy. Like, and I had done a lot of work on this case, like all the court documents, sources, like most people don't even realize I was the first person to break the story about Natalie getting immunity. And I remember at the time the Sewer Turtle telling people that it wasn't true because he would know. He would know first. It wasn't true. And why would she have immunity? That didn't make any sense at all. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't have any sources. So just don't listen to a word that I say. Fast forward almost a year to when everyone then found out that I was right, that she did have immunity, that it did happen, and that I had been the one to tell everyone that it had happened. And he was not a happy camper. But do you think at that point he went back and went, you know what? Twisted Tragedies was right, and I was actually wrong, and I apologize for that. No, the man has never corrected a single thing that he's said or done wrong ever a day in his life, and he never will. Never, ever will. You know? Hello, Francesca. JJ said, "This is in no way excuse. I worked with people like the Reeds in two colleges. The main reason, addition to other reasons, is due to Karen's father, Dean, because they have enormous power." Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. Political connections, X, Y, and Z. It's just sad, you know? Oh, yep. See, yeah, you're going to see, yeah. She said, Deans have connections within politics and law firms they retain. Karen considers herself untouchable. She does. Unfortunately for her, that's not true. She is not untouchable. She's very much dealing with a second trial. So Jennifer said, innocence fraud, donation fraud, media fraud, campaign and witness, intimidation, harassment. She needs to be in jail. Yeah, well, so do many other people. Many other people when it comes to this case. Yeah, Karen, she's a fly in the ointment of life. I can't believe she said that about the director, because she was just mad that it wasn't going to be a puff piece about her now, right? So she had to do damage control ahead of the time. Like, wait, what happened? I didn't know this happened. Hold on. Veronica said, don't protest. I forget where. In Boston, I think. Like, if you care about Karen Reed, don't go there. I was like, protest if you want to. That confused me. Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of like controlling happening over there where it's like, do this, but don't do this. And, here's the funny part. If you go and you disagree with the sewer turtle, like on a thread, on Twitter numerous times, like more than once, right? If you go and disagree with him in his live streams and he sees it, like, make no mistake, he will attack and turn on you. Because God forbid you disagree with him. That's not a thing that narcissists can handle. Ego people cannot handle someone questioning them or someone having an opinion that does not align with theirs or not falling in line. So if you do not fall in line over there, then you are, going to be smacked around, so that you either fall back in line or you disappear. That's their game. He's been playing that long before this case existed. Long before. Like, well, that's the thing. She wanted to. She wanted to harass. Let's be real here. The comments that she made, like F Paul, and he's they're just bad. They're very, very bad. She did not care. And even the comments she made in the documentary, which was like, wow, they're witnesses, but like they shouldn't have been. So like, basically, like, who gives a fuck whether they got harassed? Because like, I think they should have been suspects. So like, who cares? Because I don't think they should have been witnesses. Like, what? Like, that is so far from reality. It's not even funny. Like, has anybody ever noticed? And this just clicked with me today for some reason, Jennifer, now that I'm reading your comment. Did it ever click with anybody that most of the time when someone's saying Karen didn't do this, Karen's not guilty, she did not do this, it's Jackson, not Yannetti? Anyone catch that? Anyone catch that? That's by design. That is by design. Also, make no mistake, the sewer turtle actually donates to himself so that he can read it to get more people to donate. It's like really sad. Like, it makes me sad for smaller channels like mine that, like, you got to start from somewhere, right? Smaller people have to start from somewhere. And I don't think that, like I've said before, creators should make a living if they're putting their work and their effort and their time into making content. It's not easy. It's not quick, right? And there is work involved in it. But I think there's a line drawn when you're doing things like donating to yourself or reading fake donations to make other people donate. Like, that's beyond cuckoo. And I would call that a fraud, because it's making people feel like, oh, well, that person's donating, let me donate. You should donate if you feel like you should donate, not if someone else does, right? Like, you should feel like you want to donate to a channel because you enjoy their content or you enjoy the way they do their streams or their videos. Because you enjoy the information that they give. Whatever the reason, it should be because you want to, not because someone else told you to, not because someone else did, right? For whatever reason that you want to donate to a channel, a defense fund, whatever, like, you do it because you want to, right? You do it to show your support to whoever you want to show your support to. Don't do it because other people told you to or because other people are doing it. Not here on my channel, not on any channel. You just do it because it's the right thing that you feel like you want to do to be able to support, And it hurts for like smaller channels that are just trying to, grow little by little and who actually have a passion and a care for anything like this, because it makes it harder for them. It makes it harder for people who aren't willing to lie or make up donations, like, to get them. It just does. And I'm like, him telling people, you can only donate, it has to be $5 or more. Like, that is so egotistical. I don't care if it's 25 cents. They're giving you their hard-earned money to show their appreciation to you and to help you out. It's paying your bills, right? Like, it's putting food in your house. Like, and in my case, it buys my dinner last night to go back and forth from the hospital. I don't live near the hospital, right? I don't even drive. I don't even have a car. So like, it costs a pretty penny, and then you got to pay to park. So if someone brings you, you got to pay for their parking, you got to pay for their gas, right? You have to eat when you're there. Like, they only feed the patient. So like, you got to pay to eat when you're there. Like, so, it covers, and then you have to cover the cost of streaming. So StreamYard, which is like the basic one, is like $50 a month if you want over 20 hours. So almost, it's like 46 something or 47. So almost $50 a month on that. you got to do your intro and outro, and you need the license to that. So to get the license to that, you have to pay for whatever place that you made it at, which is Canva or another place that's $15 to $30 a month there. Like, then if you you got to make your thumbnails, you got to pay for something. That could be weekly. I pay $7 weekly to do that, to make my thumbnails. Other people, have different other ways to do it. But those are like just some of the costs that you have to cover. I don't even have like a regular microphone, which I need, lighting, like all those things get paid for, right? Like, so they have to cover their costs, and then maybe they make something. Then maybe they do. And so, like, when people like him go, you can't donate anything but $5, it has to be $5 or more, or I'm not reading, it's not worth my time. Like, I don't know how that doesn't turn people off to be like, goodbye, like AOL, goodbye. Like, like what? It boggles the mind to any decent human being who's just like, clearly he appreciates nothing. He does not appreciate a single person that watches him. And it's sad because I actually privately know the things that he has said about his viewers, and it's deplorable and disgusting. He makes fun of their looks. He makes fun of some of them being poor. He makes fun of, like, oh, have you ever seen them? They're just awful looking people. Like, the things that he says, they're stupid. Like, some of the things I'm not even going to repeat because they're so bad. Like, and it just disgusts me, like, on the inside, to sit there and think that a man like that, who's got people throwing him money hand over fist, doesn't appreciate a goddamn thing. Not a goddamn thing. And it's because he's a narcissist. It's unfortunate, but he is a narcissist. And I just feel like when his house of cards crumbles completely, and make no mistake when I say it is coming down. And let me also just say that recently, one of my sources who has never been wrong, never, not once, not ever, told me that he's screwed, ultimately screwed. And it might not be right this second, but eventually karma is going to bite him right in the ass when it comes to these cases and the other criminal actions that he has done during these cases. And he's going to have to stand in front of a judge, and he's going to have to pay for those crimes. But have a little solace in knowing that ultimately he's effed. He's screwed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's not going to be able to wriggle himself out of this. So I hope that gives any of his other victims a little bit of peace to know that eventually, and it might not be right now, might not be a month from now, but eventually, karma is going to bite him right in the ass. Oh, she's definitely a sociopath. I don't know if I would go as far as saying she comes in the courtroom drunk, because, like, obviously I'm not there. I can't smell her breath, but I would definitely say she's a sociopath. I have heard other people say that before. But she's definitely a sociopath. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Well, that's the problem, right? Sheep follow their shepherd even to their death. And it's like, don't follow. Don't be a follower, be a leader, right? Each one of you have some beautiful points. Each one of you, right? And this is why I love my community so much. Each one of you bring a good point that someone else or even myself might have missed, right? Like, each one of you bring questions that we need to figure out and answer. And I love that about this community. Each one of you are intelligent, beautiful, independent people with your own brains and minds. And I love that each one of you have no problem asking something or saying something here. And I love that about you. And what I love the most is that you guys don't come here and just attack someone who believes she's innocent. You give facts. You just give facts. You don't sit there and go, well, I'm going to, post about your children and your family and all the mistakes you made when you were 19. Like, you just give facts about the case and say, well, how can this be and I love that about you guys. I just do. Like, yeah, I have seen some of his stuff also. Matt Timpanek, I don't want to screw up his last name, but he always is on point with what I'm already thinking, when I watch him after. Sometimes I'll make the point, and then afterwards I'll go on Twitter and read like stuff, and I'll go to his thing, and he'll have like said what I was thinking and already said. So I'm like, some of these people actually are on point when it comes to it. I really think that poor Jackson's wife, unfortunately, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know it came from a specific, I think it was channel 4 maybe, but that channel did issue like a little retraction saying like that they found that to be untrue. Like there was no actual evidence of any ring cam. And I love how people just run with it. We're like, where's the ring cam? That was in the beginning that they said that they had, like it actually exists or something, and they just got rid of it. Like, no, it's called misinformation. I got quite a bit in the beginning, quite a bit myself. So I can attest to the fact that, like, yeah, a lot of misinformation was being put out at that point, you know? Lally had to do too much cleaning up after the conspiracy. That was the problem, right? Lally had to run around and do this conspiracy cleanup and just completely, he didn't even like get a chance to like sort of put the case together in a coherent timeline because he's too busy running around trying to put out all the fires, right, from all of these ridiculous conspiracy theories. So like he's gotta debunk this part of it, 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 and he did too much of it, I think. Even though, to be fair, even Lally got more than 3/4 of that jury to say the conspiracy was crap. Like, so I mean, I don't know what they think is going to happen in a second trial with Hank. It's going to be even worse. Like, I don't see how this doesn't end up in a guilty verdict quickly. Like, I don't know. The turd, yeah. A lot of people do. He's the sewer turtle over here on my channel because, excuse me, my throat. Because he lurks in the sewers and he swims in shit, literal shit. You know, any shit piece of information that comes to him, whether true or not, because he doesn't check, he just swims in, right? All the lies and all the disgusting, dank grossness, he just swims in it. So here he is the sewer turtle, and he belongs directly there in the sewer with the disgusting, vile pieces of human garbage that are down there. So, oh, he must be very worried. Very, very worried. Because I would be if the cops had seized my phone and I had blackmail, extortion, wiretapping. If all of those things were in my phone that the Massachusetts State Police had possession of, wow, would I be worried. Wow, would I be worried. So we know that he's worried, right? Because we know what's in his phones, at least some of it. Like, and the only reason I know what's in his phones is because I have had victims come to me with the actual real life evidence of it. So I can only imagine what's there besides the things I've seen from victims themselves, which is voluminous. We know that he likes to record basically all the conversations he has with anybody on the phone. That's a lot of wiretapping. And we know that he wiretapped Steve Scanlon. Why he hasn't been charged with that? I don't know. But we know he did. So imagine how many other people he wiretapped. We also know that he likes to take screenshots. Make no mistake. That man, most certainly, as narcissistic as he is, took screenshots of Signal messages with Karen. So later on, he could be like, look what I got. See, it's a direct from Signal on the app. Make no mistake. There's no way he didn't because that's who he is. Like, you know? Are you serious? You're dead serious with that, Maestro? They just didn't answer it, or they closed the live? What? Like, listen, I have been very vocal about why I switched my position because they like to say like, oh, you just switched your position because Aiden attacked you and he exposed you. First of all, he didn't expose anything. Number one. Like, first of all, everyone knows that I've been sober 18 years. I've been vocal about that since day one. There's nothing I need to hide in my life. Okay, I'm proud of who I am today and everything that I've been through and who it has made me. I don't shy away from the mistakes that I made as a young woman who was sexually abused as a child, abused in foster care, and then abused by my abuser. I'm a survivor of abuse, okay? And I was broken at that point in my life. I did not care whether I lived or died. I was broken and I was trying to numb the pain. There is no question about it. I have PTSD. I have CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress. I will live with that for the rest of my life. But I do this thing called therapy for it, which he clearly knows nothing about because that man needs more than therapy. But I never shy away from explaining why, because I know why, or who I was and how I got here. I have nothing to hide. So I find it funny that people just ignore it or close the live. That's nuts, dude. Like, why not tell your viewers why you're at your position you're at and where you came from to believe it? I mean, a lot of people switch their positions on this case. So I don't find it to be something that, like, if someone switched their position right now, that I'd be like, oh my God, you were free Karen Reed. Get out of here. I don't like you. Like, I respect people that are big enough to stand up and say, I was wrong. And you were able to say it out loud, you know? And if you did something you weren't supposed to, apologize, right? And say, I was wrong. I apologize, right? Like, it takes a big person to do that. It just does. Especially knowing with this case what might come for you if you do, you know? I'm actually shocked by that, Maestro. I would have thought anybody, because there was a few of us, there was a few, I can think of 3 or 4, that anybody wouldn't just not answer that question. Like, I'm shocked. So weird to me. Like, it was all for us to see, so I don't know why anybody wouldn't answer that question. It's kind of weird. Like, well, that's the thing. All the rumors came from Karen. uh their stuff no wonder they burst in the courtroom. Well, I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'm coming into the courtroom like that when I play this clip from Julie Grant's show. Karen Reed's team is on YouTube's channel. They were just on Brother Counsel and Chats. Well, they're always on some of these places. Brother Counsel, lawyer, Emily D. Baker, which by the way is not even an attorney anymore. She did an article where she makes like over 100 or 200 grand on YouTube, so she's not even an attorney anymore. She hasn't been in a long, long time. Also, she has a extreme bias working in the same office as Jackson, so I don't even know why she bothers to cover this case. And then you have, Young Jerks, Million Little, Tom CP, all these people, LTL, all these people that cover it. They're making money. That is why they keep doing it. Even if they have evidence that's directly in their face saying this couldn't possibly be true. Karen could not possibly be innocent. They are never at this point, double, triple down, quadruple down, whatever they have to do. They're never, ever, ever, ever going to say, I was wrong. Because that money stops rolling in the second that they do. They lose those subscribers, they lose those views, they lose those donations. And I'll tell you, I took that hit. It sucks, dude. It sucks. It does. Like, when that money is keeping you afloat and it's putting food in your house and basic necessities, and you're able to buy your child some new clothes that, fit because they're growing so quickly. Like, when you lose that, it's hard, dude, because that's what's been keeping you afloat, right? So now when it's gone, like, now you're like, oh, back to square one. I would rather be at square one and build my channel based upon facts and knowledge that I get from sources that I know are not wrong than build it on what's popular and what people want to hear. That's just how I don't want my channel built on that, because I don't want those kind of viewers. It's just that simple. I don't want viewers that are easily led. I don't want viewers that don't do their own homework. I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to do your own homework. I want you guys to be like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Let's question this. Like, I want you to use those critical thinking skills. I want you to. Like, I want you to take everything I say and go double down on making sure what I'm saying is right. Like, don't just take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Do your own research, Yeah, I had to go back. I mean, I was all along looking through the documents, Maestro, but there just wasn't much coming from the Commonwealth, like, that was debunking any of the, like, conspiracy part, until my sources brought me more stuff that I could actually dig through and say, wait a second, they said this, right? But this shows that that's not possible. Like, oh yeah, well, she's also had to change her story numerous times, numerous times. But I wish everybody just had a smidge of integrity, just a little bit, you know, a little bit, just a little, just a piece, just even a smidge. But it's like, not a lot of people at this point do. At this point, it's more about money, and it's like, listen, I'm a poor person. I can totally understand needing money. All right, I get it. I get it, dude. All right, my family is the working poor. Okay, and we have 3, 4 disabled. So my sister is disabled. She has something called AP deletion. So she has the mind of a child. She's 29. My sister-in-law has Down syndrome and she's in her 40s. And then you have my oldest daughter who has a billion different disabilities with her medical, and me myself, I'm disabled. We've been over what I have, which is a billion chronic pain issues, 2 kinds of arthritis, psoriasis, myocarditis of the heart. I was born with a liver problem, so I've had that ongoing my entirety of my life. I have POTS, like you can just keep going with the list of I have fibromyalgia. So like my family is made up of a beautiful bundle of medically disabled, mentally disabled. My nephew, he's autistic, physically disabled people. But my family's also a working family. So we're the working poor. All right. So I get needing that money. But is your soul worth it? Is the piece of you in there, the piece that's has integrity, the piece that gives to other people, whether it's emotional support, or like, is that little piece of your soul worth getting up here and just saying what people want to hear? Because then you change who you are by doing that. And I don't want to change who I am. I like who I am. And I find that people who choose to do that don't actually like themselves, because you find them attacking other people constantly. If you're constantly talking about other people and you're constantly attacking other people, it's because you're not happy with yourself. It's not the person you're attacking or the people you're attacking. It's you. You're insecure and unhappy with yourself. And clearly, the sewer turtle is not a very secure person. I know that from the personal relationships that he has had. But I mean, come on at this point, like, take a little bit of yourself back. Have a little bit of integrity, just a smidge. Like, it has been a long road. But it doesn't matter if it's 18 years or 18 minutes, like, you got to figure out the reason why if you used to begin with. If that reason is because you're trying to kill the pain, then you got to talk to someone about it, because you can't fix the addiction without treating the mental health portion of it first. I just You just can't. If you don't treat the underlying problem of why, then you can't treat the addiction itself. And that's how I did it, was treat the reasons why I was trying to kill so much pain and living in agony every day, of all the things that I have endured, especially as a kid. And when you start to treat that, you can treat the addiction, right? Um, I did, I did, and I did give those apologies. I did, yes. I don't think I wasn't too harsh really on people, but I did give apologies where I thought that maybe anybody would have been offended or hurt. Um, I gave public apologies. I gave private apologies. I did. I absolutely did. Well, they are definitely two psychopathic bees in a pod, that's sure. I forget what it was, but they were saying Karen Reed was asking him not to do that protest. It's so weird. Like, why would Karen be asking anybody to do anything? Like, it's weird. Like, you know, it's just weird. Like, that's another thing. Levy needs to speak on behalf of the things that he knows that he did wrong. And I would implore Leah Foley to get to the bottom of it and hold somebody accountable, because she now runs the show over there. And I think the witnesses and the family, and then by extension, all of us deserve that justice and those answers as to why that was allowed to happen and the improperness of what happened. Well, make no mistake, Dewdrops, sorry, my my throat. Hank will be letting out a lot. A lot, you know. There is a motion, Brooks said, for the unedited docuseries. Hank Brennan wants the unedited. Oh yeah, we all knew he was going to want that. Common sense, he was going to want the unedited version of that whole thing, because every piece of all that access they gave, they want all the uncut version, which is smart. Julie Grant is brilliant. We love you, Julie. She knows how much I adore her. Hi, Lou. Oh yeah, all the unedited footage would be amazing. Here's the problem though. A lot of these places know that we're gonna ask the Commonwealth would ask for the unedited footage. So they'll either claim they don't have it or that they don't need to comply because they're out of state. So, like, it's going to be a fight no matter what. It'll be a fight to get it. Also, the Commonwealth having the defense team on the witness list is quite amazing to me. So what I think will happen in that case, this is just what I think, right? Yeah, we were talking about Roberta earlier, not a bot, and how we're going to watch her on Court TV in a minute. I absolutely love Roberta. But I think what might happen, because it would be odd to see a defense team actually on the stand, and it would create some issues. What could happen is if this is a big fat if the defense team will just stipulate to the information. So basically it's from the interview. The information that they want them to testify to is of the realness of them sitting there during that interview and Karen saying it while they're there. Because the Commonwealth knows they were, right? So if they just stipulate to that information being true, then they wouldn't have to testify. But if they don't stipulate to it, I don't know how that's going to work. I don't see the judge allowing that whole thing to happen. So I don't know. I mean, Bev did make that comment saying, well, Mr. Yannetti can try it himself if he needs to, which leads me to believe that maybe, just maybe, that might be what she means, which is if they have to testify, they wouldn't be allowed to continue to defend her. So I don't know. If they just stipulate to the fact, you could be done with it. But I don't know that they will stipulate to that fact, you know? It does. There is a lot of sweat equity. You can say that again, girl. A lot. I love it because it's what it is, right? It's innocence fraud. It's what it is. Like, it's absolutely innocence fraud. It is making people believe somebody who is not innocent is innocent. It is a fraud on other people. Like, he calls you the fat one from Wisconsin. That is not nice. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, who does that? Like, who does that? Like, awful thing to do to people, dude. And no offense, but like, I don't know who he is calling anybody anything. He is a small man, a very small man, like physically and emotionally and mentally, a small man. No, he shouldn't. He should be under the jail with the key thrown in the friggin' ocean, is where he should be. But make no mistake when I say I am telling you, and usually I'm not wrong, so gauge my information on how you think this is gonna go, but how can I say this? He's screwed. It's the best you got to get from me right now, but he is screwed. Ultimately, he's done. All done. He will be seeing jail time. He cannot wriggle his way out of all of the criminal acts he has done throughout this entire case, before and after. He's done. He has numerous amounts of victims. Does he think none of those victims went, like, none of them have ever, like, use your brain cells, you know? Like, he might suffer a breakdown. He has had breakdowns before, but I mean, hey, it's called guilt. Not that I think that he has guilt, but like, if he suffers a breakdown, it's more because he's being caught, not because he feels bad. I love that he calls him Spanky. I love that he calls him Spanky, Lou. You want to know why? Because every time Hank steps in that courtroom, he spanks the shit out of the defense. So it's like, you want to call him Spanky? Go for it. He's spanking you. Like, I mean, realistically, that's what's happening. Legally, he is spanking you. Like, I do believe that Hank will get the justice that is deserved by so many in this. And I think Phelps put it perfectly in his last episode that he made of this, and said that the victims are well over 100 people at this point. Well over. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, like I did in the last stream. It's a mistake to only like think about, talk about, and defend just the witnesses in John's family, because there are far many more people who have been harassed by this and in this case than just them at this point. It's a mistake to act like the pain and suffering of other people doesn't matter, because a lot of these people, including myself, stuck their necks on the line knowing like that a lot of this harassment would happen, not knowing how bad it would be, but knowing at least that online people would, we didn't realize to the extent that they would go, but that sacrifice doesn't mean nothing. You can't just chalk it up as, well, that's just drama. It's not drama. This is real people's lives and real people who have stuck their necks on the line to defend the truth, to in turn then be harassed into oblivion. Mine is every day since the winter of 2023. Every day without fail. And there are so many more people who have gotten it worse than I have, including Lindsay, much worse than I have, even. So there is no one or two people who magically got more harassment than the other, but I will tell you, she's gotten it worse than I have. Absolutely. And if anybody's claiming that they're the know-all be-all of this case, or they're the best to speak for everyone, there's no such thing as the best to speak for everybody. Everybody has their own, strengths and weaknesses, and especially the people who have been speaking out about this case. Everybody has a strength and everybody has a weakness. If people came together for this, it would be a lot easier than people wanting to separate. I can't make them want to work together, unfortunately. But I think it does a disjustice to not just the witnesses and the family, but everybody who has been involved in this, everybody who has been sucked in, and everybody who's been harassed, intimidated, anybody who has felt like they were taken advantage of, or anybody who has felt like they gave all they could give and got smacked in the face for it, to ignore their pain, to ignore what they went through, just to say, well, this is about justice for John. Yeah, it is about justice for John, but it's also about justice for all the victims. And that includes all of Sua Turtle's victims, all of Karen's victims, all of the victims they made both together, like all of the victims in whole, not just some. And we can't just say, well, what about, just these core victims? Now we have spread out to an entire community of victims. And it's a mistake to just ignore that other people have dealt with this too. We need to make sure that we always remember that there are a lot of victims, and that each and every one of them have been through hell, and that each and every one of them deserve our respect, that they went through that, and that they continue to try to do the right thing. It's not right to just dismiss what they have been through, to say, well, what about the core people? We're far, far beyond that. We've been beyond that for a while. No one should be harassed. Nobody. I don't care who they are, I don't care who they are. I just don't. Like, no one deserves that at all. No one. There's nobody that deserves to be harassed into oblivion. There's just no. It's not okay. Talking about children, people's families. Like, I see a ton of people, especially on the Free Karen Read side, that are out there every single day, talking about other people's families, other people's children, other people's this, other people's that. And the second that their stuff is put out and people talk about it, they cry foul. Well, how dare you talk about my family and my children? It's like, are you that unself-aware that you don't realize that that's all you do every day, all day, is talk about other people, and then you want to get mad when people talk about you? Then here's an idea. Leave people alone, dude. So you want people to leave you alone, leave them alone. I've never gone out of my way, not ever, not once, to go out of my way to go harass someone, ever. I have responded to harassment. I've responded to lies, but I have never gone out of my way to go harass someone, to talk about their family, to talk about their children, to talk about their pet. Never. Not my style. Never will be. Like, it has no purpose. It has absolutely no. Do you know how much stuff I could say about people who are on the Free Karen Read side who I was friendly with? Oh my God, the amount of things that I could say, but I don't, because it serves no purpose. The purpose would just be to embarrass and harass and intimidate. And I'm not that person, and I never will be that person. It's unfortunate that people feel the need that that's something that they have to do, but I guess if you have no argument, that's all you can do is personally attack people, right? Do better. Just do better. Not that Free Karen Read's going to listen, but do better, There are some, Maestro. I can say there are some, not a lot, but there are some Karen Read supporters who are a little reasonable and not insulting and will have a conversation with you. It's not a lot. It's not a huge number, but there are some, you know? What do you mean? What is this content creator doing? Grace, in order to be a grifter, you have to actually be grifting something there, sweetie. Like that actually has to, happen. Well, I think they're doing a damn good job trying to get a good jury. I'll tell you that much. I think they are absolutely doing a damn good job. All right, let's see. Let's see. Yes, Ashley's been through it with him before. We're definitely getting to that in a different stream. Hey, Jack. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the thing that we're going to watch with Roberta from Julie's Court TV segment because it's 2:29. I didn't realize how long I was talking for. I have to be off here before like 3:30-ish. I'm going to play that, but let me just check real quick and make sure I'm not missing any donations that anybody sent. I don't want to miss that because I always want to thank people. Oh, so I have a, oh, that's so nice. I have a $50 donation from Anonymous. They want to remain anonymous, is totally fine. And they said, I have your StreamYard covered for April. Keep going. Love you. I love you too. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. That's Venmo. Let me just, I have to check my email to do PayPal. It just doesn't pop up, unfortunately. I don't know why. It just doesn't. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Sometimes I don't even make that much in one stream. So, all right. Refresh. Okay. Nothing there. Just want to make sure I don't miss anyone. All right. Let me get this up on the screen because I think this is important to watch. And I think Roberta did an amazing job, by the way. Present. Yeah, it was pretty bad what he did to pretty much everyone he's done it to, but he doesn't care. Most of the time he does it because he's afraid of what they're going to say about him. And what they know about him that he doesn't want out. So what he does is he attacks someone so that he sort of discredits you from saying whatever you're going to say. So that's his shtick. I mean, he's been doing it long before this case. He'll do it long after. All right. I know I'm a little behind in the comments. I will try to catch up in them and read a lot of them while we're playing this because I've obviously seen this, but I think it's important for people to watch. I want to do full screen here. I want to run it all the way back to the beginning. All right, ready, guys? Here we go. Oh, my mouse is being kind of a pain today.
This relationship between them, Roberta, they hid it for so long and acted like, oh, he's just independently, talking about this case. And then here it's like, hey, Brennan's exposed it all. Roberta, you've covered it from the beginning. How do you feel at this point in time? Do you feel like the house of cards has been brought down?
Oh, I feel like her legal team is definitely, the momentum is with the Commonwealth now. But I mean, they can lie. She can lie. Her legal team can lie to the court, in my opinion, about her relationship with Aiden Carney, Alan Jackson, using very deliberate language that nobody speaks for Karen Read. Nobody thought that Aiden Carney spoke for Karen Read. However, there are 29 communications between Alan Jackson and Aiden Turtleboy Carney and 29 communications between David Unetti. Okay, Alan Jackson and David Unetti, about 29 times between April 20th and May 2nd, 2023. That's the time when the most witness harassment was going on. You notice that they never publicly said, we love the support that Karen Read's getting, but call off the dogs, please don't harass witnesses, please don't boo the victim's family. They never said that publicly because it was part of their strategy. So it's not just Karen Read, it's Karen Read and her legal team that are behind, in my opinion, behind this witness harassment campaign because the facts aren't, they can't use the facts. The facts aren't with her.
Roberta, great points. Thank you. So we know that Hank Brennan is trying to get these messages in to his case because he says that it would show Karen Read's consciousness of guilt, saying that she would have no reason to employ Turtleboy to allegedly harass these people if she hadn't done this. Now, we know that she says she's innocent. She's claiming that she's being victimized, claiming that I believe it's a 50-person conspiracy cover-up they're alleging and all this.
What the hell? What happened? You should have played the entire thing. That wasn't the entire thing.
This relationship between them. Roberta, you know, they hid it.
There are 29 communications between nobody speaks for Karen Read. Nobody thought about her relationship with Aiden Carney, Alan Jackson using very deliberate language that nobody speaks for Karen Read. Nobody thought that Aiden Carney spoke for Karen Read. However, there are 29 communications between Alan Jackson and Aiden Turtleboy Carney and 29 communications between David Unetti. Okay, Alan Jackson and David Unetti, both 29 times between April 20th and May 2nd, 2023. That's the time when the most witness harassment was going on. You notice that they never publicly said, you know, we love the support that Karen Read's getting, but call off the dogs, you know, please don't harass witnesses, please don't boo the victim's family. They never said that publicly because it was part of their strategy. So it's not just Karen Read, it's Karen Read and her legal team that are behind, in my opinion, behind this witness harassment campaign because the facts aren't, they can't use the facts. The facts aren't with her.
Roberta, great points. Thank you. So we know that Hank Brennan is trying to get these messages in to his case because he says that it would show Karen Read's consciousness of guilt, saying that she would have no reason to employ Turtleboy to allegedly harass these people if she hadn't done this. Now, we know that she says she's innocent. She's claiming that she's being victimized, claiming that I believe it's a 50-person conspiracy cover-up they're alleging and all this.
Why does it keep doing that? God damn it. All right. This time.
This relationship between them. Roberta, you know, they hid
it.
Oh,
because okay, that's why. Hold on. That clip is only 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
So long.
I thought it was the whole 11.
Oh, you know, he's just independently, you know, talking about this case. And then it's like Hank Brennan's exposed.
All right. We had the whole, Roberta, I think, had the whole thing on hers. That one was, I'm like, why is it stopping? Because it was a whole 11-minute thing. So let me see. I played the one that apparently was only 2 minutes. We want the whole shebang. Or maybe it was on Julie's. I'll have to check. Oh, part 2, she said. Hold on. No offense to the other guests. Only edited to fit the 2-minute limit on X. I know. I saw the whole thing though. Earlier. Let me see if I can go to Julie's and get it. Oh, yep, here it is right here. Okay, perfect.
This morning, we're giving a voice to victims like Boston police officer John O'Keefe, the 16-year veteran that prosecutors say was murdered by his girlfriend, Karen Read, inside of the Massachusetts courtroom where the case will be tried again. On Thursday, you could cut the tension with a knife. And did you get a load of this moment? Karen Read and her attorneys seemingly ambushing Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan as he was in a separate hearing.
Yep. This was ridiculous. Look at her face.
Aiden Carney. He goes by the name Turtleboy. Now, this is all over the Special Prosecutor in Karen Read's case obtaining the contents of the cell phone searches done by the prosecution team on Kearney's case. Let's take a look.
texts, videos, things that have absolutely nothing to do with communications between Mr. Kearney and the defendant. So how can the Commonwealth make the threshold showing that those are relevant?
First, this is a ruling with Mr. Kearney, so I'm asking that Mr. Kearney's attorney be at the table. I'm not sure why we're being joined by Ms. Reed's team unless they have standing in this.
Your Honor, we're a little confused, and I don't mean to interrupt the proceeding, but as we're...
Counsel, can you state your name for the record, please?
Of course, I'm sorry. Alan Jackson on behalf of Ms. Reed. We didn't see which case number was called for this Rule 17, if it was Mr. Kearney's case number or if it was Ms. Reed's case number. We were told, or at least our impression in talking to Judge Cannoni, was if this issue was going to be on our case number. I specifically asked that question at sidebar day before yesterday, and she said yes. She needed to be here, and she has a right to counsel, and we have a right. We believe we have a right to be heard on this issue because it does attend to her rights going forward in terms of her case. I mean, this is her case.
No, it doesn't stop there. So why are Karen Reed's attorneys on the witness list for the Commonwealth? We have so many issues to get to here. We're going to do our best to hit them all. I am so pleased to welcome in on the program podcaster Roberta Glass. She's the host of the show True Crime Report. She's joining us this morning along with David Bruno. Good morning to you both. Okay, let's start with that relationship, the relationship between Karen Reed and Turtleboy, and that very brazen, bold, and dare I say it, rude interruption of the hearing right in the middle of it, and that dirty look Karen Reed gave Hank Brennan. Roberta, let me start with you. Your reaction to that?
Well, it's typical of what we've seen from Karen Reed in the courtroom. Very inappropriate, very angry at Hank Brennan. That's the Karen Reed we've come to know, a very angry, vindictive, I would say psychopathic woman.
Roberta, thank you for that. You know, she does look angry. I mean, and she knows, she's cognizant about it. She knows cameras are rolling. We heard her talking about it in the Investigation Discovery docuseries. You know, to me, this is her trying to deliberately make a moment, and I think she made a fool of herself. That is incredibly disrespectful behavior. It has no place in a courtroom. Hank Brennan's doing his job. And let's not forget, Hank Brennan's a defense attorney. He's one of the best criminal defense attorneys in the country. That is his reputation. And a long time ago, he was a prosecutor. He's earned his reputation. He's also a trial advocacy professor. Not the guy I'd want to mess with. And I'm sure he's been through way worse than Karen Reed's dirty looks. David Bruno, you just always epitomize, respect. You're the quintessential gentleman and know how one should conduct themselves in the courtroom. If your client did that, what would you say to them?
Yeah, here's a message to all litigants. I don't care what case it is. You're always being watched. You're being watched by the public. You're being watched by the jury if they're seated, the judge. There's always observations going on. Look, we even talked about it in the Kohberger case just a couple segments ago about how they're concerned about how the jury sees Kohberger and his flat effect. So for anybody there, you have to conduct yourselves knowing that you are being observed. And she should know this. She should know this. I don't know if it was deliberate. I believe she's a little out of control right there. And you see that little squint at the end, too. It's like almost like piercing stare. And the reason is, guys, because the prosecutor wants to get into those communications with Turtleboy. He believes that those communications will show consciousness of guilt. And she's almost like, well, how dare you, right? One more sort of pull of the thread that the state is trying to do on Miss Reed.
Yeah, thank you for that, David. Great points. Yeah, this relationship between them. Roberta, they hid it for so long and acted like, oh, he's just independently, talking about this case. And then here it's like, Hank Brennan's exposed it all. Roberta, you've covered it from the beginning. How do you feel at this point in time? Do you feel like the house of cards has been brought down?
Oh, I feel like her legal team is definitely, the momentum is with the Commonwealth now. But I mean, they can lie. She can lie her legal team can lie to the court, in my opinion, about her relationship with Aiden Carney. Alan Jackson using very deliberate language that nobody speaks for Karen Read. Nobody thought that Aiden Carney spoke for Karen Read. However, there are 29 communications between Alan Jackson and Aiden Turtleboy Carney, and 29 communications between David Unetti. Okay, Alan Jackson and David Unetti, about 29 times between April 20th and May 2nd, 2023. That's the time when the most witness harassment was going on. You notice that they never publicly said, you know, we love the support that Karen Read's getting, but call off the dogs, you know, please don't harass witnesses, please don't boo the victim's family. They never said that publicly because it was part of their strategy. So it's not just Karen Read, it's Karen Read and her legal team that are behind, in my opinion, behind this witness harassment campaign, because the facts they can't use the facts. The facts aren't with her.
Roberta, great points. Thank you. So we know that Hank Brennan is trying to get these messages in to his case because he says that it would show Karen Read's consciousness of guilt, saying that she would have no reason to employ Turtleboy to allegedly harass these people if she hadn't done this. Now, we know that she says she's innocent. She's claiming that she's being victimized, claiming that I believe it's a 50-person conspiracy cover-up they're alleging and all this. She's saying she's innocent of the crime she's been charged with. Something that may give us insight into what was going on in those final few moments before John O'Keefe was taken from this earth. His own statements. I've got a clip here about it in the state of the relationship between him and Ms. Read. Let's take a look.
We know from the statements that there was a tumult in that relationship, and many of those statements are reduced to writing. And it is clear, based on that and other testimony, that he was in the course of attempting to end the relationship with Ms. Read.
That's preposterous. The idea, there is no evidence to support that last point, that this type of information, let's say, for instance, it's information that he wanted to break up with her. There's no suggestion in the facts that Karen Read would kill John O'Keefe rather than simply break up with him.
Okay, so we'll have to see if these statements from John O'Keefe make their way into the case evidence. The judge still hasn't ruled on that. David, something that people are getting a lot of questions going about on social media, because it is odd to see. The Commonwealth has put 3 of Karen Read's attorneys on the witness list, reportedly so that they could authenticate the out-of-court statements that she's made to various media outlets. How do you see this playing out, please?
Yeah, I don't actually see it playing out. It would be very odd to see her attorneys in the witness stand at her trial. I don't think it's good optics for the court. Look, there could always be a stipulation too. If it's to authenticate an out-of-court statement, certainly a stipulation would be enough. And then just final point on this whole Turtleboy angle that Brennan and the government's looking at. This has already been a circus. The first trial,
circus, but I disagree with him.
All the
he doesn't need to bring it up.
All the followings and things. If I were prosecuting this, I would want to go in straight. I don't know if I want to add this whole Turtleboy angle of consciousness of guilt because of out-of-court statements and communications. I just question it because of all of the different distractions that we've already seen in the trial.
I don't think he knows everything.
Yeah,
that's why Roberta's like,
David, thank you for that. This is a mess of a case. It has become a circus. And Roberta, I want to give you the final word here. As we get ready to go to trial, you know, of course, with any case, we know Karen Read has pleaded not guilty. She's cloaked in the presumption of innocence. It's up to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as you know, to prove her guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. With all of these things coming out in hearings like yesterday's, where we know they're going to use the temperature of John O'Keefe's phone, the text stream data to show exactly where her car was at the time and place. Do you think there's any way we would see a plea agreement here?
Nope, no chance.
Never. She'll never plea out. She will be
She won't.
blaming other people for what
Till
I
she dies.
feel is her murder of John O'Keefe till she dies.
Yep.
Roberta Glass, we have so many
And
more
she
things we
will.
need to talk with you about. Check out Roberta's podcast, True Crime Report. It is awesome. I'll look forward to having you back soon. Thank you so very much. And David Bruner's coming with us, and want you to do the same at home. Before we hit our break, every
This was
Friday, you know what
important
we
for me to
like to
play
do.
too.
We like to be a voice for victims and spotlight a particular victim. And on this Friday morning, it is John O'Keefe, that Boston police officer who is really what this case is all about. People forget all too often that he's what the case is about. He's why there's a trial happening right now, because he was taken from us. May his family get some comfort in knowing that he was loved and that there is a pursuit of justice for him.
There is.
We'll be right back.
That's right. Well, that was that. It was beautifully done, Roberta. Yeah, so that's exactly, he was wrong. An hour after this was filmed, yeah, Maestro's right. Brennan went for Yannetti's phone records. So welcome back to the people who just popped in. Freak, you are late. You get the wag finger for being late again. But he is absolutely brilliant. Hank is, and welcome to my newbies. Welcome to my newbies and my longtime viewers, but first commenters. I saw that. I was trying to read down some of the comments while I was watching that, because I've seen it already, obviously, but I wanted to play it for you guys. So yeah, I mean, it was beautifully done. There was some good questions asked and good answers. Yeah, well, regret isn't rape. Yeah, I saw that one. That was so shameless. Like, so shameless. Like, he does still act like that. It's kind of gross, you know. I know, right? Play all the Roberta songs. Play them all. Like, play them all. But yes, he had already doxed Hank once before in something, so it's not a shocker that we see the sewer turtle trying to dox Hank or his family. It's the way he does things, and it just shows what kind of human being he is in real life. He's just a horrible human being, like an absolutely horrible. I see that we hit 2K while we were doing that, and yay, because we were almost up at 5 at one point, and that was before I switched my opinion in this case. And then, of course, with the attacks, it went down, obviously. And I took that 6-month break recently with all the health and medical stuff that's been going on with my kid. So I am glad to see that we're back up at 2K. It's been a long time coming. So yay for that. If you can share the video with people who don't know I exist yet, maybe that would be really helpful. Or tell other people who aren't here, you don't see them in chat, or if they haven't talked about the channel, let them know. Like, because some people don't even know I'm here, you know. Make sure that when they hit the notification bell, just like when you guys do, that you change it, because it automatically puts it to some, as in you would only get notified some of the time that I'm live. You have to change it to all. And then every time I'm live, your phone will give you a little notification saying that I'm live. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then the bell, which will change it to all, so that you'll always know when we're here. Because a lot of people will say, tell me when you're live, but then I forget, because there's so many people who want me to do it. I can't always remember every single person who wants me to tell them. So and make sure you hit the like button, because that pushes it out for the wonderful YouTube algorithm. But we also have X. People are watching on X too, for people to see that we're live and people to see that we're here. It pushes it out so that more people get to see it. And if you can, and obviously only if you can, we would very much appreciate any donations to the channel. That is how we operate over here. We only run on our small donations from our viewers, and you can do it on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And if you want to be anonymous, you just say ANON or anonymous, and I won't read your name. I don't really usually read government names anyway, because I think it's important nobody get harassed. I just use screen names that you all use here if I know that it's you. But I appreciate you guys' support. I'm glad we hit 2K again. That's wonderful. It's a small milestone, but sooner than later, it'll be 3, then 5, then 10. And you never stop appreciating every person that hits that subscribe button, you know? Like, that's when you start losing sight of how you got here, right? Like, or how you stay here in all reality. So I appreciate you guys. I'm going to scroll up and go through some of these comments because I do want to answer a lot of you guys' questions. Let's see. No, Brian, I did not ever get that apology, although I probably should have. I did not get that apology ever. Hey, Jack. It was very disrespectful to the court to walk in like that and then stare at Hank Brennan. It's also lack of like that's how she operates, right? Like it just is. Like she looks like a human Pez dispenser. Love it. That's hilarious. Like I have thought about that. John's last moments. It makes me very sad that he laid there in the snow in the cold by himself. You know, that's just awful to me. And by the way, hi Lisa. Don't worry about being late. You can always rewind, right? And I love my replay crew. I absolutely love my replay crew. I love when people watch the replay because they couldn't watch it live and then they comment or they have questions, because I love going on there and being able to comment back or answering a question back. I absolutely love it. And some of those questions I then bring into my next live to answer, you know, which I think is awesome. So I love my replay crew just as much as I love my live stream crew, you know. I appreciate you all. Hi, Casey. Somebody should make a meme. Yep, should make a meme of that. That would be funny. That face, though, you know? That face. Some Beach, how are ya? We've seen Tom do a few things like that. It's a little crazy. That's why I live streamed when we did the first protest for the family. I live streamed the entire thing because stuff like that had happened before. And for safety reasons, I wanted everything on camera so nobody could ever say like, oh my God, they bumped into me and I fell over. Like we wanted everything on camera. So we got it. I streamed it and then we had other people filming it from behind in different angles on purpose. Kindness does look good on everybody, Amber. I wish that could happen. Unfortunately, it doesn't always. Sammy, welcome. Welcome. I'm glad that you're a fan and I'm glad that you're here. When Allie McCabe was crying, that absolutely, I actually, when I live streamed the trial last time and she was crying, I had to mute myself and shut my camera off because I started to cry, because that's how impactful it is. Because you know that hurt, right? Like I know it firsthand because I've lived it, you know, and that was a really profound moment watching the trial where I had to actually mute myself and shut my camera off because I choked up watching her, you know, trying to hold it together on the stand. And she was trying so hard to just hold it together and not cry, you know. And it's like, how could she not? Everything that's been done to her and her family, how could she not? You know, it's insane. He already said in court the FBI subpoenaed his entire Karen Reed case file and he submitted it to them. I personally think it's because of ARCA, but who knows? I don't think ARCA should be allowed to testify, in my opinion. I don't know why she would allow them at this point, and she did, and it's insane to me that she is. But I do think that Hank should be asking for parameters where they're not allowed. I mean, he did, where they're not allowed to say that they're independent. They're not allowed. They have to disclose that they were paid. Like, bottom line, they don't get to say they're FBI experts that are independent in nature. They don't get to tell that the way they did last time because they weren't. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Yes, Hank does. He just looks right back at her like, and like, oh my God, tagging actresses. FYI, they're not going to answer. Also, none of them think it's a good look to be like supporting a person who's got a ton of evidence against them for murder. Just saying. Like, just saying. Like, yeah, I don't know, but I also think that even if they testify, Hank's going to absolutely destroy them on the stand. Oh, my throat is killing me, dude. I definitely have strep throat, that's for sure. I have talked to Kevin a million times. I just, you know, I can't make people want to work together, unfortunately. And part of the problem is a lot of people have their own motives, and it just doesn't go together with people who just want to help, right? Like it doesn't go together with people who have put their neck on the line and just wanted to help with people who have different motives than that. So, you know, I guess people are just going to have to catch up. The problem I have is like if we're all streaming at the same time, it splits the audience, right? Like if we were all streaming together, you wouldn't have to split that audience, and then everybody could get the commentary from each person that they liked together, right? Um, I've talked to Roberta. I'm trying to maybe work something out where we can get Roberta here and Matt from Boundless Millennial. I've talked to him. I'm trying to work something out there too. Our schedules are a little different, so but I'm gonna attempt to try something there. Sunny Spirit has been on my channel. She's always welcome back anytime she wants. Bree is oftentimes here. We love her dearly. B Tim is here sometimes. We love him dearly. Kathy, we have many people that come and pop on. So I sort of have an open invitation on my channel to anybody who wants to. They're more than welcome. I'm more than happy to put them on here. Obviously, as long as they're not people who have attacked me or defamed me or slandered me, like they're more than welcome to pop on the channel and hang out. I don't have this thing where like I need to have this person because they have more followers, or this person is no good to me because they don't have enough followers. Like I don't care. Sunny has like 270. I think everybody should follow Sunny on her channel, Sunny Spirit. She makes really good videos on this case. But I don't care that she only has 300 or 200 or 500 or 5,000. I don't care. I don't care how many she has. I don't care if she had 5 million or 500. Like she's a good voice, and she makes amazing videos, and she's knowledgeable in the case. So anybody like that, I would welcome on, you know, anybody. Oh, that's so nice, Tom. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Does states treat her from Meredith O'Neill's behavior? Probably not. But I mean, if they haven't fired her yet, then I guess they do. I don't know. I mean, she has like 17 sock accounts where she goes after like 17. It's very obvious. Her sock accounts are very obvious because she gets mad and kind of outs herself. I don't know. Apparently they do. If they still let her work there, I guess they do. I watched Emily D. Baker during the Alley testimony. Oh boy, she looked as heartless as Karen Reed. It was gross. Yeah, that's sad. I mean, we streamed it here. Obviously, a lot of you who were here at the time know how that moment was here on this channel. It was a heavy moment here. You know, no, nobody's. That's what people don't realize. Like Hank dealt with the mob. Like I don't think he cares about Karen Reed. You know. I know. See, that's the thing. I have to though, right? Like I have to be able to give my opinion and my commentary. I have to give my analysis. So even the parts I don't want to watch when it comes to like the defense being ridiculous and saying shit they know isn't true, I have to watch. And yes, there are times where I want to throw my computer at a wall, but I don't. And I can appreciate that some people don't want to. That's totally fine. I'll try to fill you in best I can, but I do love when people watch it with us live because then we have conversations happening, right? Like anytime there's a sidebar or there's a break, we'll talk about some of those things, and it helps you sort of talk out you being so pissed off about something to talk about how it isn't true, how it's not right, and then dispel said rumor or said fake thing that they said, right? Or thing that they did while we were watching the trial. And I thought that really helped a lot of us out in sort of getting that emotion out at the time. That's okay, Angela. You're totally allowed to be behind. Totally allowed. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Emily D. Baker. I kind of, you know, it's sad because I wanted to like her, and I think with this case, she totally lost me. I'm gone. Like, well, you have to remember, she makes, you know, over 100 or 250K on YouTube. She stopped being a lawyer. She did a whole article about how she stopped being a lawyer to do full-time YouTube because she makes more money. So I'm like, why didn't she just be a class action attorney? They make a ton of money. They make more than that, you know? Yeah, the documentary. It's sad. You can't help but to cry, you know? You just can't. Yes, exactly. Way to go, Roberta. Sunny is great. Otter. She is. Jack said sometimes even on the good guy's side, it's tough to keep all the egos in check. Yeah, well, you can say that again. It's unfortunate, but we're all human. I wish everyone could just get along, but it may not be totally realistic. You are right on that one. It might not be realistic. It just sucks for all of you, you know? I feel it, you know? I love B Tim. B Tim's one of my faves. He comes here when he has the chance, when he's not at work, and I always love his analysis. He's always on point. So we love B Tim here. While Hank Brennan is seeking justice for John, he's also shining a bright light on the true corruption. He is. That's a very good opinion to have because I agree with that opinion, Angela. 100%. 100% agree with you on that. I did. I cried when Allie cried too. I couldn't help it. I could not help it. Yeah, like when Alessi's talking, it makes me want to, you know. Tiger, I am not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer, but I have a child with a very rare terminal illness. And so that path in my life kind of went a different way. I worked in the criminal justice system. I worked in a prison for the criminally insane. And I've studied law since I was 12. I was a witness twice in my life, once as a kid. And the minute I got off that stand, most people know this story. The lawyer asking me the questions like 3 times over in a different way, trying to get a different answer out of me to like impeach me as a witness. Obviously, I didn't realize at 12 that's what he was doing, but I knew he was asking the question in a different way 3 times. I just answered it the same way I would have. And I was just fascinated at that point, just fascinated. I have friends who, you know, work in the system. I've sat in on a ton of trials. As we all know, I've been sober 18 years. I've been arrested myself. As a young adult, I was 18 or 19, you know, I've been through the criminal justice system myself, but I have studied law since I was about 12. So all the new Supreme Court decisions, all the SJC decisions, cases, like you name it. I'm pretty good when it comes to most law. Just don't ask me about like real estate law or environmental law. Those are not my forte. I am not good at those at all. Criminal, family, civil, those are I'm very good at. But don't ask me anything about real estate law other than air rights or environmental law, other than like some sort of basics, because I could not tell you. But most of the criminal stuff, I am very well versed in. But I am not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. This is my opinion on what may or may not happen. I think my track record speaks for itself, and that's why my viewers come here, because they know that my track record speaks for itself on being able to sort of gauge how something is going to be decided or not decided. My whole point is to be able to explain to people the legal terms, the legalese, right, in layman's terms, and explain to them what happens in a trial next. Like motions in limine are what they would be the last motions. They're not exactly the last motions, but what are considered the last motions before trial, because of course there are a flurry of other procedural things and last minute motions that come after the motions in limine. We'll see some still. But to explain to people how trials work, what happens next, why something wouldn't be let in, why something would be let in, what that motion means, things like that. Yeah, dude, I don't know who came up with the stupid dog theory. That was like the stupidest theory on planet Earth. What you guys did was allow Hank to then go down to Virginia, get the dog's mouth casted, invite the defense along, which they declined, by the way. Of course they declined. To be able to prove that Chloe is not only alive, but that the marks on John don't even, not for a long shot, match Chloe. And we already had her bite patterns from before. So, you know, the bullying. Yeah, if you can say that again, the CD that happens in these people is amazing. It should be studied by scientists, in my opinion. Like people who study like how the brain works and why people do what they do should be studying this, in my opinion. Yeah, we've done a lot of that, trying to see if we can connect some dots, but you know, a lot of the dots just don't connect, or like Some of them like might connect, but there's no way to actually prove it on certain things when it comes to like the federal investigation and why they did what they did there. Because it's very clearly Levy did something he wasn't supposed to do, and he was very clearly he only got information from the defense. By the way, now that's weird. Normally, if you're doing an investigation, you would get information from everywhere. They didn't ask the Commonwealth for anything. That's a problem. You can't do an investigation without getting all of the evidence. You just can't. Like, oh god, yeah, the word salad with Alessi, I can't do it. Like, I have to listen to it obviously to be able to tell you guys like what he's even talking about. But he just says the same thing over and over, and then tells the judge he's going to get to it while never getting to it. You know, unfortunately, like, you know, yeah. Well, I'm sure we like a lot of us have. It's unfortunate, but it's like the disgusting amount of things people say. It's just, ugh. You're the only thing I don't agree with time limits is that if she puts a time limit on him, she's got to put a time limit on Hank, and Hank's usually very quick and to the point. So it kind of gets me because it's like you can't really put a time, like she put a time limit on closings and then like cut Lally off. Like if he only had 2 more minutes, let him finish. Like you can't cut off a closing, you know? Like you just can't. I did actually, Brian. I did actually. I've met a few celebrities when I worked at the strip club. Funny enough, I have. It was highly suspect. I don't know if you thought that like saying that was magically going to make me like not read it or like you're just trolling, but everyone on planet Earth knows that I was a stripper in my life. That's not like a secret. And that was also like a whole nother lifetime ago. I'm 38 years old. Like it's not something that's a secret. It was highly suspect. Like that Levy was meeting with Karen or her team, but you're not getting any information from the Commonwealth. That's weird. Like, that's just strange. Like, oh my God, please don't let him do the opening and closing arguments. I'm dead. Please, please don't. Oh my God. Please, please, for the love of God, don't. Like, oh my God. We actually had to do that in college. I took classes for medical coding because that's originally what I was going to do when I knew that I couldn't do it. And we had to do mock cases for like medical law. Like it was weird, like the way they made you do it. And they gave us like fake cases with like fake people's names and like you were on one team or the other and we had to present the case. Like, God, he's even worse than that because that's long-winded. Like, I think absolutely witness intimidation charges could be added. I think they could be added to her. I think they could be added to him. I think either one, you know, it could be either one of them. Like, absolutely, 100% could be either one of them. I think there's a lot of other charges that could be added, technically. Yeah, CD, cognitive dissociance. I forget. I do know the answer to that. I just don't know off the top of my head. I have it written down. We know Levy worked at Ropes and Gray law firm. He left temporarily in order for him to be U.S. Attorney for Norfolk County. What was never mentioned? Bentley University uses the law firm as a retainer. Interesting. Well, there's your connection, right? You know, right? Karen, that's who I met there. Some of these law tubers, B. Mateo said they actually act icky because they actually studied law. They know every damn thing. Well, that's the thing is they don't. And so it's like, okay, listen, I could sit here and argue. I've studied law for 26 years, 26. Okay. And I could sit here and argue that I would damn well know a lot better than they would in my own state what certain laws are. Right. And I do, especially with some of these civil attorneys that have clearly no idea what they're talking about, i.e. Melanie Little has no clue what she's talking about. But there are some attorneys like the lawyer you know, or Brother Counsel or Emily D. Baker that know damn well what they're telling people is not true. For the lawyer you know, I think it was, to sit there and say, oh, have so much outrage about Bettero not being allowed on. Anybody who's studied law with a brain cell knows that would not have been allowed. not by a long shot. There is too much of a conflict, and you can't waive that conflict. So to act like you're so outraged over it, you've never seen a case where that's happened. Well, have you ever seen a case where a attorney tried to take on another client that would have been a complete conflict to the other? No, you haven't, because usually lawyers don't do that knowing it's a conflict. Like, that fake outrage, like, him and every other attorney on planet Earth knew there was about 0% chance he was ever going to be allowed on because there was a conflict. So it's like that fake outrage, that fake, oh, I cannot believe it. Like, you're faking that to your viewers. Like you wouldn't have known better. You do know better. And if you don't, go back to law school. Like, the hell? Like, that's what makes me mad about it. Like, is they damn well know better. So the shit that's coming out of their mouth does not match what they actually know. That's the problem. Like, what they know and what they're saying are two totally different things. Right? Even you could conclude that. Even people who aren't attorneys can absolutely conclude that it would have been a conflict and there would be no reason for him to be allowed on. I mean, it's not, we don't need to be Einstein to figure that out. Like, not so much, because he constantly has to be like, well, I'm picking up my vape now. Well, I'm putting it down. Well, I am taking the cap off of my drink, Your Honor. Then I'm going to take a sip. He tells the court everything he's going to do. You don't need to do that. Just do it. Like, just do it. And he knows that. It's just a show. It's all a show, you know? Like, well, that's another thing. Don't call Hank a liar when he's not lying either. And so it's like, Hank takes the courtesy of like not calling them out every single time that they lie about something or call him a liar. He just kind of ignores it and moves on because he knows it's not true, and anybody with a brain cell could look and see that it's not. But then they keep doing it. So then at this point is when Hank's like, you know what? I didn't say anything about this last time, but I'm going to say something now. And unless he said I lied 10 times, that was not true. Like, so it's like, Hank shouldn't have to, you know, he should not have to keep hammering away at every bold-faced lie or misrepresentation they make to the court, which, again, the judge found they did purposely over and over. Let's just remember that. Free Karen Reed likes to forget that or ignore that ever happened, or just say, like, the judge is in on it. The amount of things that the judge has given the defense, I find it so funny when they try to say, like, the judge is in on it. She's so corrupt. Oh, my God. The judge is mostly following very clear case law. If there isn't something that's clear, then sort of she has some leeway, but very clear case law on what should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed, what should be denied, what should be not denied. Like, and she has given the defense things that I think should have absolutely been denied. And so do a lot of other attorneys that she has given them. Okay. So for anybody who's like, she is lean defense heavy on giving them things that she shouldn't have. So for anybody to claim that she's like in on it and she's, to me, is just preposterous. It's absurd. Like, she has given many gifts to the defense. Many gifts, okay? Ridiculousness. Well, we have a hearing Tuesday. I don't know about something big. I know that there's a lot of information that we have that hasn't exactly made public yet. But I do know that there's quite a bit of stuff yet to come, so that are not good for her, you know? Yes, exactly. This club, the one you guys are all in right now, the club where you're allowed to come here and have an opinion and not get harassed or doxxed. That's this club. JJ said, I'm convinced that this case will now shift towards full disclosure on Karen Reed and her defense team. Prosecutor Brennan will have all the evidence that was once hidden as he moves to second trial. Well, the burden can never shift, obviously, to defense, but I think that they're going to be on the offense. I mean, defense, sorry, on the defense, because the offense now has all the things that they said didn't happen, right? Like, Hank's got now the temperature of John's phone, the temperature, right? They now know when John took his seatbelt off. So I'm guessing they also know when he got up out of the car, because the sensor in the seat would have told them there's no longer a human body there. We got 8 more lines of data, voluminous amount of data from her car, like a lot of data, like, and none of it is good for her. None of it. None of it proves that she's innocent. Not a single bit of it. Let's just make that abundantly clear right now so that you can say later on, well, Elise told me none of it was going to help her. I'm telling you right now, none of it. None of it is going to help her because she isn't innocent. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so all of that evidence that they didn't have before, which I will say, the defense is the one that did the chip off last time and magically missed 8 lines of evidence. So 8 lines of data, 8 lines of data that they got this time that was missed last time. And none of it's going to help Karen because it's all her car data, which we know. We know she backed up. We know John's phone stopped moving forever, just seconds after she backed up. And he never moves again, never goes in the house. His phone's in his pocket, but she tries to pull it out of his pocket, which she admits to on the ID Discovery documentary. So that is why it ends up underneath him and not still in his pocket, because she tried to pull it out. So now we know how it ended up underneath him. Thanks, Karen. We appreciate it. Like, yes, he has. And it's unfortunate. You know, I just don't think people with bigger channels like that care. And it's like sad because I always think to myself, like, I don't give a shit if I had 5 million. You know, I don't care. Like, it's still important to recognize, like, reading people's comments. Some people won't even read your comments unless you send them a super chat or you send them a donation. I find that deplorable. Or answer questions unless you do that. I find that deplorable. Like, I mean, I can understand it going by so fast because mine used to go by so fast and I might miss some comments, so you might have to say it more than once. But I try to get almost all of them or hit every point that I can, you know? So it's like some of these people like just out themselves by doing the things that they do. And it's like, I don't care how big I ever got. You're only there because the people that watch you, the people that support you. So if you can't give that grace back to them, like, why are you like, what? You're nothing without them. Nobody's going to watch you without them. So why can't you recognize that? They get so big that they forget that their audience is the reason they're there. It's just amazing to me. Like, it's like forgetting where you came from. Go to poverty, you make money, been there in my life, done that, okay? Been there, done that. Went from poverty to making a ton of money and not having to worry about anything, back down to poverty. Been there, done that, okay? Like, I never forgot where I came from. I always helped other people. I still help other people and I can't even help myself. So like, you can't just forget where you came from. And I see a lot of that where people just completely forget where they came from. They just don't care anymore. And it's sad to watch. Like, sad. Oh, the messages? Yeah, if they get them and you guys get to see them, they're going to be amazing. Like, oh, I am Bert? Oh, so sorry that you thought that that was a joke. Melanie Little is an ambulance chaser civil attorney who has on more than 10 occasions stated completely false things and not bothered to look up the actual law in Massachusetts and how it pertains to any of this. So that is my opinion. You don't like it, you don't have to. I'm not the only one with that opinion either. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She told you guys that John's belt and shoe were missing in evidence and hat were missing. They were just gone, which was never true. So no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Yes, Roberta is brilliant. She is funny. I love her little one-liners. That's another thing. When you see these people like just quoting the sewer turtle, like, buyer beware. Like, I don't think it'll affect things much, Peach Gal. Not much. He was fired for mean texts. Let's get real here, okay? That's what he was fired for, mean texts. I don't really think, even in the first trial, when they tried to like humiliate him with the text, the jury didn't buy the he's biased or they still didn't buy it. So I don't think him being fired is going to really make much of a difference in this trial, considering the first jury didn't buy it either, you know? So yeah, that's very true, Judubs. They do. Well, so that's half the other problem, right? Is a lot of the time, and this is what I try to like explain to people so that they do grasp like basic legal concepts, right? Like that's what I try to do here. And so they don't even explain to their audience basic like procedure or legal concepts. So then these people go out on social media and they're acting like they know anything about what they just parrot what they were told, or they repeat what they're told by the cult because they see it 17 times. And in all reality, not only is it not true, but it sounds dumb to anybody who knows anything about the law or procedure when it comes to a trial, because it's something that either couldn't be brought into a trial, would never be brought into a trial, something that would never be allowed in because it would bias the jury, like all of these things. And it's like, it's basic legal concepts that they don't even know about. And they go out and they say these things. And it's like, okay, well, people who I guess don't also know basic legal concepts will eat that up. But I wish more people would do their own research. Like, look it up yourself, dude. Look, take the 5 minutes it takes and Google, go to mass.gov, Google mass general laws on whatever you're looking for, right? Like, and read it yourself. Also, reading comprehension is a problem with them too. They'll read the law and not understand the legalese part of it either, and then completely interpret it in the wrong way or try to stretch it. That's another problem that we have, you know? Dude, I find, so anybody who's talking shit about Hank in that LawTube community, and it's really sad to see, is doing so to be part of this cult giving them money. Because if you talk to any lawyer here in Massachusetts who has worked either against Hank or with Hank, they all tell you the same thing, that he is brilliant. He has an attention to detail that no one else has. He does not miss a beat. The man is amazing. And if you want to learn what it's like to be a good attorney, you should go learn from Hank. And it's sad. Like, you can't recognize a good attorney when you see one. You got a problem. Like, I think Yannetti would have been a good attorney if he didn't fall into that skeeziness, the skeeviness of what Jackson does, you know? That's right. That's right, though. That's very right. You're very right about that, Lucy. Well, that's the thing. I care less about the ambush because I think they thought it was going to get them somewhere, and more about the like stare down she gave Hank, like that was going to do something. Like, ooh, you stared me. You're not allowed to drive, so I guess you're not going to hit me with your car. Like, and I don't think the defense, even if they added 5 more people, would be a match for Hank at all. She is the most pro defense judge I've seen lately. That's for sure. Like, you have to remember, she used to be a defense attorney. So that may be why. People always forget that too. They're like, oh, well, the judge. And I'm like, you know, she used to be a defense attorney, right? Like, so you guys are saying she's biased against the defense when she's actually given them many gifts. Like, she used to be a defense attorney. It sounds stupid for them to say that. Like, but they don't know. They don't. Somebody told me the other day, well, Emily D. Baker and Jackson can't know each other because she was a prosecutor and he was a defense attorney. Newsflash. He worked in the LA office with her as a prosecutor there. Genius. But they don't know. They don't know. They just go on what they're being told. So you're willing to argue with somebody about something you have no idea about and then continue arguing about it without even looking it up. That's the part that gets me. Like, you know, that's the part that gets me. Like, you guys got me for like another 5 minutes. Guessing they know where she went afterwards as well. They know pretty much everything. Gigs, whatever, 8 gigabytes. I remember them saying lines as in all the lines of it that they missed on the chip, but fatal accident, then Jackson comes on board and it's conspiracy. Yeah, and she's exactly. Well, we all remember him saying like she had no intent, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, you know. Well, that's the problem. She shouldn't have denied the gag order in the first place way back when. I think it's too little too late now, right? Like, too little too late. But now with the new motions Hank has for Yannetti's stuff, you know, I don't think she'll give it, but I think he's on solid legal ground asking for it. She did waive her right when she talked about it over and over and over, knowing the consequences of that. Like, so that's completely right. He does know what he's doing and that it's not right, but he still chooses to do it. Like, I think that's more of a guess than a no that Karen went back there. I think it's more of a guess than a no that she went back because of that thing where she says, John, is that you? You know? And she shuts the GPS off. So at some point. She turned her GPS off. I think it was in the days beforehand, but then something about I don't know. We'll find out, you know? We will find out. No, not the Lexus. Although she did try to key cycle it. You have to hit it like 100 times to key cycle it and try to erase something. Obviously, someone told her that she could do that, but it didn't actually erase it, and that was afterwards. I wonder if they're going to bring that in. That'd be interesting. I think it's very possible she returned to Fairview twice. It is possible. Anything's possible. We'll find out, though. We'll find out when all that car data comes up. We sure will. We sure will. No, she's not. She works at State Street, but she's not an attorney. She works... They keep stating Higgins threw his phone away the day before preservation order instead of after it was denied. Yeah, that's another thing. It was already denied. The preservation order was denied. And it was Brian Albert that had a preservation order after he traded his phone in new, and it was like a day before. Like, how is he going to know? Like, he magically tells the future. And again, they had already been denied before. Like, so they had every right to get new phones after friggin' 2 years or a year, however long they had their phones. Like, they were already denied. It was already denied. Like, well, that's clearly what the perspective he's coming at is, how we can get this person off. But denying evidence that's right in front of you that shows that she couldn't be innocent is just it's a bad look, you know? Yo, you don't get named special prosecutor for nothing. He is amazing and smart. All right. Yeah, Hank is a defense attorney. That's the kicker. So he knows, and he's done federal cases. So you have to remember, he is very well versed in all of these things. Like, you know, and always remember, you guys, if there's like more questions, comments, things you want me to address, like I'll be doing a show tomorrow. Make sure that when the video is over, that you go like into the actual comments of the video once it's not live anymore, and put those in there, because I check them and I write down things that like people want to go over, and I'll try to go over them or try to answer them in the live streams, so that like the things that you guys want to talk about, you know, are talked about, you know. And I think it's important to call this what it is, which is innocence fraud. It is, and it's hurt a lot of people. And I think it's time that we call it out and recognize that it has hurt an immense amount of people. Okay, hold on. I just saw, we have a $10 donation from Anonymous, and it says, Karen Reed, Twisted Tragedies, thank you. It's pukey faces after Karen Reed, and then Twisted Tragedies, thumbs up, and thank you. Jack, thank you, Jack. I appreciate you. I liked Lawyer No till the retrial, then I was being bullied. That's never okay. Like, I would never allow any of you guys to be bullied by someone. Never. They would get an insta block. Like, literally. An insta block. That's what would happen. Goodbye. See you later. Like, I don't know why any of these channels allow this. And I barely ever have, you know, a moderator the entire time. We have Lucy here now, and Ellen's usually here, but they're never, you know, people are busy. So I don't always have them for the entire stream. I have to sort of do it myself. And I just don't understand how any of these creators can allow that to happen and then not either say something to their chat, like, hey guys, you're being a little much. I don't appreciate it. I don't think it's okay. Like, I just think it's unfortunate and sad. And I would never allow it on my channel. I just want you guys to know that. I would never allow it anywhere that I have control over it happening. This is a safe space for people who want to talk about this. It's a safe space to trade ideas. And I wish other creators would make it that way on theirs as well. So I am going to attempt to maybe get some soup. I don't have any at the house, so maybe I can DoorDash some now that I have a donation from Jack. Thanks, Jack. I might use that $10 you just sent for soup. I am definitely running a fever. My throat is absolutely killing me, so I'm going to try to get some rest, and hopefully tomorrow I feel a little bit better. But I love you guys. If you can, make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching on X, I would really appreciate if you popped over to YouTube and hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Join us in a live chat one day. Actually, on X, you can. Some people don't even know this, but you can comment on the live stream on X. You just have to like tap the screen or tap the like arrow button, and then you can type, and then I can pop them up on the screen so everybody else can see what you're saying too. But you can always just join us over here on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. If you can, please drop a donation onto the channel. You can do it on Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. We're still waiting for our monetization to be approved again after the free Karen Reed minions came to attack. So that might take a while. Hey, listen, we don't care about caps over here on this channel. We like caps because it draws my attention to it sometimes. But I appreciate you guys so much, and I love you. And if you're on my replay crew, if you make a donation, we'll read it when we're not, when we're live tomorrow, of course, because we always want to make sure that we thank everybody that donates and supports the channel, because we are just only a small channel over here, and we're still trying to grow into a tree here. We're still just a little baby plant. So I love you guys so much. I will be on X later, so anybody can always send me a DM there. I do answer. I check them at least once a day, or you can email me at twistedtragedies3@gmail.com. I'm always happy to talk to anyone. So I love you guys. And with that, I will leave you with my outro, and I will see you all tomorrow. Don't forget. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.